blessings. Lord, I just ask for your guidance on the matters at hand tonight, Lord. And Lord, I just ask for the blessings of everyone here in this room. And Lord, I want to pray for our country as this year has been a difficult time. And I pray for medical staffs and doctors and hospitals that are putting their life on the line currently to help others. And Lord, it's a great testament still of our country as far as helping each other out in the time of need. I ask your name. Amen.
The City Council meeting for the month of July 2020, please come to order. Will everyone please silence your cell phones? Allie, I'm sorry?
We're getting ready to.
Getting ready to.
She asked about the pledge.
Yeah, we're getting ready to do that. Allie, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nancy, would you please call roll?
Chris Foster,
I'm here.
Jim Lane,
Here.
Louis Short,
Here.
Paul Muse,
Here.
Terry Lynn,
Here.
Casey Griffin, Paulus Bourne,
Present.
Sharon Williams,
Present.
Allie Sugg, here, and the Chris.
Let the record show we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is to waive the reading and approve the minutes as presented from the June 18th, 2020 City Council meeting.
So noted.
Second.
Any discussion?
Louis Short,
Yes.
Sharon Williams,
Yes.
Paulus Bourne,
Yes.
Paul Muse,
Yes.
Chris Foster,
Yes.
Allie Sugg,
Yes.
Jim Lane.
Yes.
Motion carried. Next item is approval of the payments journal for the month of June 2020. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we accept them.
Second.
Nancy?
Chris Foster,
Yes.
Sharon Williams,
Yes.
Paulus Bourne,
Yes.
Allie Sugg,
Yes.
Jim Lane,
Yes.
Paul Muse,
Yes.
Louis Short.
Yes.
Motion carried. Next item is the approval of the street sanitation, general, community center, O&M, and miscellaneous funds for the month of June 2020.
So motion. I'll second.
Paulus Bourne,
Yes.
Allie Sugg,
Yes.
Paul Muse,
Yes.
Sharon Williams,
Yes.
Jim Lane,
Yes.
Chris Foster,
Yes.
Louis Short.
Yes.
Motion carried. Next item, you have your supervisors' reports in your packets. Are there any questions for supervisors?
Do want to take this opportunity to say thank you for Public Works. I know they've had to borrow a Grapple truck from a neighboring business because both of ours are broke, which we're going to discuss. But remember, please be patient on leaves and limbs. They'll get to them when they can, but they're doing it as fast as they can. And just remember, the city of Heber Springs is not paving Main Street and the highway out here. That's the state of Arkansas that's doing that. So I know Lightning McQueen looks like he's working on it, but they'll get done someday.
It'll be nice when they're done.
Yeah.
They promised that they would not work on the 4th of July, and they promised they'd be working at night. Neither one of those things have happened, but we're still glad they're there, and we'll be proud of the project when it's done. And Scott, bless y'all's hearts in this heat. I know you almost lost a couple of guys today from the heat, so y'all be careful. No other questions? Unfinished business, next item is the community center age. Talked about dropping the age to 14 without an adult, which an adult would be 18. And Ally, I don't know, I think this is your biggest request, but I
Yeah.
don't know that we're not doing this in vain right now with the hours and the COVID. Our hours are from 8 to 3, and the COVID still doesn't allow anybody to play basketball or to be close to each other. So I don't know how well that is going to work, but I think we need to have a discussion as well. So.
Yeah, and of course, my thoughts are when we're not in COVID.
Right.
And that we're operating at regular hours. And so I've gotten a ton of families, parents that want to bring their kids here, that we get many complaints that there's not anything to do in the city, which we know there is, but I think that's a part of why we have the community center is we want families here. And to have a restriction where kids can't come in here, I think is something that doesn't help us here. And I did look up 3 different community centers that are surrounding us. I looked up Cabot, and during COVID, it says that members 15 and younger must be accompanied by an adult. And then at Batesville, it says 13 and up are allowed to come in as they want. And this is at Batesville. And that's in their pool area, that's in their gym area, that's everywhere except the weight room. And that's how Batesville does it. So under 13 has to be accompanied by a 16-year-old. And that's something different that we do here. Under 13 or under 16 has to be accompanied by an 18-year-old instead of a 16-year-old. So I think that's something else that we could look at, is at least lowering that from 18 to 16. And then at Jacksonville, children under 13 have to be accompanied with an adult. And then it says, I like this part where it says children 13 to 15 have to have an adult sign them in. So an adult has to come in, sign them in to the facility, and they're also not allowed in the fitness center as well. So I just think that there's definitely something, I feel like we should have some flexibility and allow, I don't know if
I can't hear a thing.
so I don't know where we want to go with this. I would at least like to see where a 16-year-old could come in. I believe that if they could drive a car and get behind a car, then they're responsible enough in here to come in here and play basketball and do, which I know if they're just 16, but I think if they're 16 and they have a couple of younger siblings or they're babysitting, that they should be allowed to come up here. And
16
bring
can
kids.
now,
Well, they can't bring anybody, they can't have anybody younger than that with them, though.
not under them, yes.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. So, in here, it says, that's what I like, is that 16 can bring younger kids in with them.
Well, so, I agree 100% that we've got to attract the younger age into this facility. Of course, you can bring 25-year-olds if you have one adult. So it's not like they can't come. It's not like they don't have access. They just have to have one adult. And
Yeah.
so, of course, Sharon, being a teacher, I know she's got some comments on the youth, but I'm all for creating. The problem with it is they've got basketball and they've got the pool and that's about it. That track, you know, is a problem when you get those kids running around that track. It can, you know, be distracting to the adults. You know, and of course Batesville, they've got a lot more staff than we have. They've got 3 people sitting in the gymnasium watching all the time. And so, isn't that right, Stacy? Stacy, isn't that right, that Batesville has?
They asked us.
We need to resolve this.
Yeah.
2 or 3 people?
Mr. Mayor, can we have a timeout?
Yes.
We can't hear anything 5 feet from there. My God. I brought this up last week about having some microphones. You can carry microphones over there to somebody speaking. This is unbelievable.
Mr. Glover, will you please have a seat? And we're glad you're here, but I went to the quorum court meeting the other day. I couldn't hear a thing either, but this is going to be on video and audio tape, and we'll get you a copy.
Well, you're going to kick me out. I might as well be out because I can't hear over there. Now, Mayor, I've been around a day or two, and this is not acceptable. When you intentionally silence the speaker, and that's what's going on.
The speaker is out of order right now,
Yeah.
and so if you'll just have a seat right here, you can still hear all the council members.
I'm not going to sit in here and listen to nothing.
Okay, then please leave.
City of Heber Springs beat this. Got to.
Yeah. Glad he's gone. Oh, I brought this for him.
Did you say you're having a hard time hearing?
If you're having a hard time hearing us, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay.
Well, I can hear
you know, we
everybody
had
out
all these
there. I
meetings
don't
in the-
understand why they can't. Is there
You
something,
know,
I
we
can
had
hear
all
what they say.
Maybe if you take the mask off, Jim, we could understand.
Let me put it to you this way. Let me put it to you this way. You'll be wearing a mask pretty soon. You'll be talking through it. Yeah, well, we just have to discuss that with the governor. My wife has bad lungs. I wear this because I don't want to take something home to my wife.
Okay,
Makes me a
Jim,
widower.
Jim. Hey, y'all, please, let's don't talk unless we've been recognized, and we will improve this sound system. This is something new to us. We just did this because of the bigger crowds, and City Hall would not handle it, so we changed to this venue so everybody could come and be a part of these meetings.
Maybe you should meet in the courtroom building, because they had microphones at the court meeting.
I couldn't hear a word they said the other night. Not
Well, you were
one
sitting on the
word.
back road like a good Baptist.
No, I was not. Anyway, everyone talk loud, and let's.
All right, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem hearing me, is that correct? Now, my question to Ally is, what would you recommend that the age limit be of an unaccompanied adult? And I agree, they should be able, if you could drive a car, I think you should be able to come here and use our facilities, I totally agree. And when my grandson, God forbid, another year or so, he's going to be driving, if he wants to bring his little brother in here, I think he should be entitled to do that. So, you need to make a recommendation, and then we'll either agree or disagree. Doug, I wish you'd quit that. Yeah.
And that's why I wanted us to discuss it. I wanted to put out there what I found that other facilities are doing, community centers that have the same pool, the walking track, the basketball courts that we have, and they're doing 13 and up,
Unaccompanied.
unaccompanied. That now Jacksonville has a parent come in and sign, but not in Batesville. 13 and up could come in there. And then, so I don't know if maybe we do 13 to 15, they can come in, but a parent has to sign for them. Parent has to come in and pick them up, has to leave a phone number maybe that says, you know, if he causes an issue or she causes an issue, this is the phone number you reach me at. And I think that we should come up with, you know, if they get in trouble, then it's a warning. The second time you get in trouble, you can't come back for 2 weeks, you know, if they're in this age range. Or maybe we do that till 13 to 18. The third time, you can't come back for 6 months by yourself without an adult. And so, I mean, I would say we look at age, maybe we do 14 to 16. A parent could sign them in and they have to leave a phone number where we can reach them at. And then 16, I would like to see it that age 16 could bring in their sibling.
Immediate family.
Well, no, I mean, I have a 16-year-old that babysits my kids in the summertime. I mean, they've been with my kid all summer. I would love to be able to tell her in a non-COVID year, hey, take them up to the gym and let them play basketball. When it's 108 degrees outside, there's not many options besides the lake, and so.
Ma'am, this would be just for the workout, for the workout part of the session rather than the opera?
No.
It'd be everything except the weight room.
All of it?
Everything
Weight room
except
has
weight
different
room.
restrictions.
And so that's what I would like to propose. 14, 15-year-olds could come in with a parent, with an adult, signing them in. 16 can bring other kids in there, you know, kids that they're babysitting or their siblings.
I second the motion.
Well, you know, it doesn't have to be written in stone, does it?
No, we can always go back and change it if we need to.
And that's the thing, if we could try it 6 months, if we have a lot of trouble here, we come back and change
I think
it.
it's a good idea to try it. There's not a lot for kids to do here that get in trouble. And if there's something that would point them in a different direction, I'm all for that.
So this would just require a change to our operating procedure.
Right.
Because it's not hard, set, fast in any kind of written form, I mean, other than up here.
Right.
Make a motion.
Okay. I make a motion that we change the age to the community center to where 14 and 15-year-olds could come in here as long as a parent or a legal guardian signs them in, and that we collect the information that we need to contact that legal guardian. And 16-year-olds can bring a sibling, I don't know how we could word that, a sibling or
Someone under their care.
someone under their care.
This is on a trial basis for 90 days,
Well,
whatever.
I'd give it a little longer than that.
yeah, I would say for a year, because
For a
I
year.
would say once we go back to regular hours.
Once we go back to normal.
Yeah,
Okay.
once we go back to regular hours, 6 months from that point,
Gotcha.
because we don't know when we're going back to regular hours.
Stacy, you got any comments?
No, it's all right. You know, we're gonna have some, there's a bunch of kids that we're gonna have to screen out.
Yeah, it does some staff members, you know, we can handle the onslaught of people.
How much additional help do you think it would require, you know?
Oh, just probably 2 or 3 part-time. In the evening, because that's most time they're gonna come in the evening.
The thing that bothers me more than anything else is every kid is not the same. And I don't like the idea of penalizing one child because somebody else's child didn't behave. It's all going to depend on the individual child whether this works out or not. I don't know about driving now. When I was a kid, you could get a learner's permit with an adult in a car at 14.
You can't now.
You could get your driver's license at 16. All the guys I run around with, they say there's nothing to do here now. You ought to have been here when I was a kid. But I think it's gonna depend on the individual child, how this works out, and how responsible the person that signs them in and the person that accompanies them is. We can try it.
So is that a second?
I second her motion then. That's what we.
Well, I feel like we're not telling the children they can't come. We just want an adult with them, someone 18 or above to come.
Well, actually,
I feel like, it's good for someone to have
wasn't it 16?
parent or aunt, uncle, grandma, or whatever to come with them.
14 to 16 got to be signed by adult, though. 14 to 15.
But above 16,
And like
16
like I
above.
said, this is not written in stone. This is something that we try out, and if it doesn't work, we go back to the way it was. But I feel like we at least have to try. Like I said, I hear from a lot of parents that want to see us make some changes up here, and maybe this will help.
It's not really a family-friendly place, it's a senior center. Bring your kids up here to the pool, they don't want to splash or jump around. And you need to decide whether it's going to be a family community center or a senior center.
It always has been a family center. It's just,
The rules don't reflect that.
well, it's just, parents have got to bring their kids. This has never been off limits to any age, ever. And so I don't think you can blame any one person or anything about this turning into a senior citizens. It is, I agree, that it's more seniors and we all want to see a change, but that has never been a rule or a deterrent for anybody to come in this facility with children, ever. And so, that pool is a different deal. And, and when we have meetings and we have football banquets for the kids, I'm gonna tell it like it is. We're chasing kids out of that commercial kitchen, we're chasing them out of the stairwells, and, we haven't found a boy and girl up there together yet. But those are the things that Sharon knows as a teacher that is very, very possible. I'm all for, nobody wants more for the children more than I do. And nobody wants more for the activities to happen. But now, it costs money, and their volunteers don't happen much anymore. And so, we're looking at, I don't know, 2 extra employees. Of course, we're open on regular hours. We're open from, 6 in the morning till 8 at night. Well, that's not 2 employees, that's 4 employees. So, it's a challenge, but I'm with you, Ally. I think we need to exercise some sort of test here, but I get aggravated when people say there's nothing for children to do, because I wish I'd have grown up in this town with a lake and with places to go and throw rocks at each other and whatever. We do have tremendous, library and ballparks, and the ballparks, they're open to anybody, anytime. And, we have tournaments and we have practices out there, but I don't see parents and kids out there together. So, the facilities are here. We just have to, I think, make a little more extra effort. Yes, ma'am.
We have stopped, ended our mentorship because it was so difficult with different age kids. So I hope that you do change the rules and even look at some of the rules. And I know that definitely there are kids that are unruly. And I hope that lower the boom and make them stay home. But the kids who are not need to be allowed to do more because we, as a family, will not be back until it changes a little, because we would take the kids to the pool and, like my husband said, you know, no splashing, no jumping, it's a pool. And we want to play racquetball. And there is a sign up outside the door. This is no children allowed. And I have kids that are very capable. I learned at a young age, and I don't know why we wouldn't allow a parent and a child to play racquetball together. And I don't know what that age.
Well, we do now. A parent and a child, can play, can do anything.
We also play what is called volleyball, which
Yeah.
is a fun game inside the racquetball court. But supposedly my children, my younger children, are not supposed to be allowed in there because there's a sign outside that court that says no children allowed. And I don't know why they wouldn't be allowed again, but I think just saying again that let's lower the boom on the ones who are being disrespectful and allow the families to come and do that can and will, because we had a membership in the winter for several years, and we came and we played volleyball almost every week, but we stopped because it was becoming such an issue about the older kids and the younger kids. Just saying.
The criteria to be evaluated at the end of when the virus is lifted and everything, would that be up to you and the director to determine if it's successful or not? What would our criteria be to rate?
I think I think the numbers, that, the amount of members that we have, and
keep a record of how many problems we do
and then
have,
how many problems.
what type of problems.
Yeah, I mean, I can monitor that, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Especially with the system we have.
But we do have high school kids come out here and play basketball, and they're with some younger kids, and you don't want your children to be out there sometimes. Those elbows are flying and those words are flying, and so, that's life. But I'm with you, ma'am. We all want this to be a community facility, and I think we've done a good job. We got to do a better job.
And I
So
think
let's try this.
lowering the age is definitely one of the things, and I think, you were mentioning the pool. Like, I noticed Jacksonville has a great schedule that lets you know exactly when open swim is and family swim, and that we should come up with some times where it's open swim, and it's okay if you splash.
Right.
and the kids are not afraid to jump in the pool and make a splash and get in trouble. And so
Well,
I think that
we had swim night, had over 70 kids.
Yeah.
You need to understand
It was very successful.
that it's over, that is a lap pool, okay? All they're in, you can only dive on one end. You have to be deep enough to dive, you cannot dive 3 to 4 foot. That's the health.
yeah.
But they have also, it's like in the summer, only half of the pool is open due to the 3 lanes of lap swimming.
Correct, because we have to leave them on that side for people that's members that they come in and swim laps. We leave the open swim on the right-hand side for people that want to swim on the other.
So I was thinking maybe if you just did 2, then they have
Well,
the
then
capacity to.
and I see your point, but then it affects our members, the ones that come in, the ones that actually come in and swim.
Well, I'm just saying that those are other things I think that we could look at, but I know tonight we were just discussing the age limit, so.
Well, we've talked about it too long. I say we have a vote, and I say we give this a test, Stacy, and let's.
I don't think we voted on it.
Well, we got
a motion.
We got a motion in a second.
Yeah. Yeah. Nancy.
Ally Suggs,
Yes.
Jim Lake,
Yes, everybody heard that, didn't they?
Paul Anderson,
Yes.
Paul Osborne,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
Sharon Williams.
Yes.
Chris Foster.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carried. Next item is our nuisance ordinance. We have Doug. You want to talk about how much we've worked on this and where we are on it?
Well, last city council meeting, y'all decided to table this. It was read, it took a while, it is rather lengthy, it's rather in-depth. But we had a workshop on it, and during the workshop, we discussed that there's pretty much all of this kind of needs to be in there. Now, how we do things, is it something that y'all need to, me as a code enforcement officer, go out and see it, come to the council and say, hey, this is what I've got, you want to declare it a nuisance, you know, that's fine too. We were looking for guidance. We were asked to write this because we have several situations in town today. I'm just going to throw you, for instance, I had a call questioning a lot that needs to be bush hogged. Talked to my source that usually takes care of it. His dad passed away in July. His stepmom is nowhere to be found. He has no rights to the property. It is in her name. We have no idea where she's at. We need to be able to get on there and bush hog it. We can't do that with city equipment without having something in place, if I'm correct, if I understand correctly, without having some kind of a lien process or a payment process to give back. We have tried in the past to do lawn mowing services. When we find a problem, go back and, okay, I've got a yard that needs to be mowed, we'll pay X amount of dollars, we'll put a lien on the property. We have a small problem. I talked to 7 different mowing services in town. It's a great idea. None of them wanted to do it. We ain't got the time because we would have to put a time frame on it. So what this ordinance is, gives us the ability to go on the property, clean it up, and to use city equipment, city personnel, and actually bill for it. This was actually from 4 different cities. Some of it was cut and paste. I'll be the first to admit that. But with 15 pages, everything in there, most of them are definitions. And that's why we have something that is specific. So it's still up to y'all whether or not y'all want to pass this, or if y'all want to make some, if you see something that's needs to be changed, something else we can look at. We've talked about breaking it down into separate pieces, but it's kind of a snowball effect. You get one problem, then you got something else. You got one problem, you got something else. So we're asking for guidance. I wrote this, took about 4 weeks. A lot of research went into it. A lot of talking went into it. So it's up to y'all. We just want some guidance. If this isn't something that y'all are interested in, that's fine too. We just need to know.
I think it's very thorough. We've been through it several times. Terry, I think you've been through it a couple times. Not on actually the actions, but on the wording. And I'd like to see us pass this. We continue to not have any authority to clean up our community. Yes, ma'am.
For clarity, are you talking about going on to private properties and cleaning up stuff that maybe, like, say is abandoned or something like that? Or are you saying this would be the ability to go onto a private property, clean that property according to ordinance and then bill the homeowner or the person that is there? What specifically are you talking about when you say, go onto the property, clean it up, and then bill for services? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, what we're looking at doing, we always go back and send letters out to the homeowners. If the homeowners do not do anything with it at that point, that's where we need to step in. We have abandoned houses in town, we have people that have rental property in town. We have people that have passed away. We have houses, nobody knows where they're at. We had a house and it took us, while you were mayor, on Maple Street, the only contact number we had was an attorney in California or Arizona. One or the other. All it was a phone number, we left messages. Never could do anything with it. The problem that we've got, according to Terry, from what I've understood, us actually getting on there, I have the right, according to building code, to actually get on property. I can't go and do the work myself, so I have to get somebody else to come do the work. Well, to get somebody else to do the work, I can do that, but they can't get on the property. It's a catch-22. What this ordinance does is it clarifies, and it allows us to get in as a last resort, not as the first thing, I'm gonna send you a letter, don't get it. As a last resort for us to get on that property and clean. And it's gonna be abandoned properties, it's gonna be overgrown grass, if it's a health issue.
Right, so that's something
There's
like
some concerns,
hazard.
there's some concerns with condemnation, and that's something that we can address. We're not looking to condemn anything.
Yeah.
We're just looking at, just trying to get stuff done.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. I was just making sure that it wasn't like if my grass gets overgrown and you drive by it 3 times.
We will go back and issue letters like we always have.
Okay.
That
Or if I
has
have,
not
like,
changed.
debris in my yard.
That has not changed. What it does is the people, probably 80, I'm gonna go 90 to 95% of the people that we deal with a troublesome yard, we send one letter out and it's taken care of. The 5% we run into, these are houses that are been foreclosed on. We got banks. It took us 2 years to get a house, get the yard mowed because the mortgage company that originally had it sold it 3 times before we got to the right mortgage company, and then had to get a hold of their property management group to get somebody done. Once we got a hold of them, it was less than 3 days we had it taken care of. But it was that 2-year process to try to figure out who's got what. And we're limited on information. We have data scout, we have phone calls. You know, we try to send letters out, but when addresses are wrong, you know, I said people will pass away. We've had houses on, you know, that's been needed to be cleaned up. The house is in escrow. It's still coming out of a trust, so everything's paid. There's nobody there to get a hold of. The son's in jail. So, I mean, that's the whole purpose.
Well, extreme circumstances I can understand, but just making sure that it's not on a day-to-day, like
And
you
that's
need the
something-
power to do things.
Well, it's taken, we've identified 81 houses in this town that are a nuisance, that are dangerous, abandoned, burnouts, whatever. And Doug's office has done a great job. We were told for years and years you can't do it. And they've gotten on the phone and contacted owners, and we cleaned up 11 or 12 of these houses just in the last year and a half. So we're making some progress, but we've got a long way to go.
Right.
And it starts from being, you know, that they're havens for drugs, for stray animals. So their office is doing a great job, but they've got to have something to allow them to.
Jason's done a really good job with this, but once again, out of those are cooperative people.
Right.
Once you get into the uncooperative people, or people that's unknown,
Yeah, remote.
Yeah, it's difficult.
they're liable.
Do you ever recoup the cost to clean up the property? Or is that just?
We have most, all of the 10, the 11 that they took down, actually didn't even have to lick a stamp. They called them on the phone, discussed it. We had somebody here that quoted a price of $2,500, whatever, that they would charge the homeowner to tear the house down. And they said, that's great, because the piece of property is worth more. with it out, off the property than
But
it was.
but in that
it was.
situation, that was the homeowner dealing with the contractor who cleaned the property up. In my history on the city council and the mayor, we had one situation a million years ago that I sent the public works or sanitation department out there, and they cleaned up this abandoned piece of property. We documented the hours, et cetera, because that was the old method. And then we put a lien on their property, and it was amazing. The bank called me 3 days later and said, "We've got this property for sale. Can we write you a check and take care of this?" Sure, not a problem. We've discussed this a lot. This ordinance was read once in its entirety, which I think took an hour. I would like to make a motion that we put this on by the second reading by title only.
Correct.
And then next month we can do the formality one more time, and then we can hash it out at the very end. And so I would like to make that motion.
I second it.
Thank you.
Did y'all hear that?
Now, Terry, we have the original that we had the first time, and we had the one we just got. All you did was correct the typos, right?
Correct the typo.
Okay, now I'm going to
That's what you
read
should
the
have.
title off the one I had first. An ordinance amending Heber Springs Municipal Code Title 5, Chapter 5.04, providing for the condemnation and removal of houses, buildings, and/or structures constituting a nuisance within the corporate. Thank you. That's the same one ago. Within the corporate city limits, providing for a lien on the property, providing a penalty therefore, and for other purposes.
Yeah, Paul, I have the updated.
Oh, it says maintenance. I'm sorry, I forgot the word maintenance. I'm sorry. Let me do it
Let me
again.
stop everybody just a minute.
Chapter 5,
Hold
chapter.
it, hold it.
You made a motion, right?
Yes.
But I don't know that it was seconded and voted on.
It was seconded. We didn't say
Okay,
But it wasn't voted on.
we need to vote on
Oh,
that.
okay.
Chris Foster,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
Jim Lake,
Yes.
Paul Muse,
Yes.
Paula Sporn,
Yes.
Sharon Williams,
Yes.
Ally Sutton.
Yes.
Okay, now I'll do it correctly. An ordinance amending Heber Springs Municipal Code Title 5, Chapter 5.04, providing for the maintenance of property and condemnation and removal of houses, buildings, personal property, and/or structures constituting a nuisance within the corporate limits, providing for a lien on the property, providing a penalty therefore, and for other purposes. Then we'll read it again next month.
Then it'll be on next month's agenda for final.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do that.
Okay. Let's read the second reading.
That was the second reading. Next month, we'll have the third and final reading.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the reason I said the reading again next month, you're perfectly welcome to go to the mayor's office and get a copy of this and read it. And if you've got issues with it, next month when we read it, it comes up to the discussion phase before we pass it. That's when, if you've got an issue, you need to raise your hand and have your input on it. That's why we're going to do it again next month. That way everybody gets a chance to think about it. Okay.
Okay, the next item of unfinished business was a conversation with Michael Hernandez, and he couldn't make it tonight. He was sick. And Mary David, yeah. Do you want to tell something, give a little information on your program?
I was really impressed. I thought all you guys came here to hear me.
Yeah. Well, speak loud, please.
I just want the council to know, I don't know if they've seen his complaint against animal control. Did they said, everything in here is not true. I mean, I'll just tell you a few things, and I'll come back when he's here. But the complaint that he made, I think there's gross errors in what he states. I do not operate a private trap, neuter, return, which he says release program. I'm under the Heber Springs Humane Society. The man states I violate a code for abandoning a cat. I only will take a cat to utilize the TNR program if the people will take the cat back and continue to feed them. I explained to the people I have no place to take the cat. The people of Heber Springs call me to help with getting the cat sterilized. These people understand the cat has to come back to them. And all agree, after the cat is sterilized, they will not multiply, they will no longer cause any problems, but they will continue to keep down the snakes, the rats, and the mice away from their home. If I get a nice socialized cat, I take this cat, have it fixed, and then I take it to the Humane Society, and we get it taken to Conway to be adopted. At this point, I have 4 cats right now going to Conway next week. So the man is just not telling the truth. Then he complains about the lady across the street from him. I have sterilized 4 cats for her in January. They all had their rabies shots. They all had rabies tags. But as you know, cats don't wear collars very well. Before these cats were sterilized, 2 of them had kittens. There were 8 of them. I picked those up, and those kittens were 6 weeks old, put them in a foster care. This lady kept them for 6 months. We fixed them, and they went to Conway and got adopted. He states that she does not have adequate shelter for these cats. There's an empty house next door to her, and the cats live in the shed in the back of the house. This is adequate shelter. The 4 cats are fed twice a day and have fresh water. He states she has 8 cats, and you're only allowed 4. Her cats do not roam. I mean, they were strays. She's just nice enough to feed them. There are 2 male cats that come across the field south of this man to get a free meal. They must belong to the people in the apartments. There's a male cat that comes from the north to also get a free meal. After he eats a little, he goes back to his home. So the man, everything he puts in his complaint is not true. He is just after this woman for personal reasons. So I'll come back whenever he is here and face him. Okay? Anybody have any questions?
You had the statistics on how many kittens you have.
How many cats I've done?
Yes, I'd like to hear an update. You've done a tremendous job.
Since January of 2016, I have sterilized 1,375 cats, 850 females, 525 males. Now this is out in the county also, just not in city limits. I worked with taxable donations and a wonderful organization, the Petco Foundation, which gives us a grant every year to save the cats. I'll read this. Before this program started in 2016, the animal control officer told me he had euthanized 165 cats in the previous 16 months. That's unreal. He was about to quit his job. He could not keep euthanizing healthy cats. Since this program started, only a few cats have been euthanized because they had been hit by a car. Before 2016, the Humane Society would get at least 50 kittens a year from the mobile home park near the shelter. I don't know if you all know where that is. They got in at least 50 kittens. But that was the first place I went in to get the cats fixed. Since that time, we have not gotten 1 kitten from that mobile home park. I go through there every couple months, making sure there's no stray cat. And there's a guy there that helps me find the cats. The problem is not the innocent cats. It's the people that get a cat, do not get it fixed, and then allow the cat to roam. Then when the cat has kittens, the people will give the kittens to other people that do not get the kittens sterilized. It's a vicious circle. Any questions? I mean, I'll come back when he's here. But personally, I think he's after this woman. He kind of tried to hit on her last year. She didn't pay any attention to him, and I think he's after her. I really do. He would say no, but I bet that's what it is.
And I might add, Mary does all of this on her own. She does no help, no anything. She does it all volunteer, no pay. She started all by herself.
We had 2 of them that was in my neighborhood. They disappeared. But the whole time they were there, the past 8 years, it was 2 that would come. I had absolutely no problem with snakes.
Right. I mean, they do their job.
Now they're gone. We're having an issue.
Absolutely.
And it was just 2 that lived there. And I live in a small neighborhood.
It was my goal to do every cat here, but those people let their cats go out and have kittens. It's just me doing them and doing them. But I mean, we saved thousands of kittens from being born. It is a good program. It does work all over the world. It's not here in Heber Springs, it's a world thing, and they know it first.
What was the number, Mary, that they thought had saved by this number of doing? You gave it one time. How many have kept being born?
You mean here?
Just here with what you've done. Did
Well,
you
here
got
I did
estimation?
800 different females, and a female can have kittens at least 3 or 4 times a year.
Wow.
And that's 4 to 6 kittens each time. It's thousands of kittens, thousands. Actually, I just picked up a cat, and this is a tame cat. It has to be someone's cat that they just put out behind Shelton's Jewelry. She has 6 kittens. They're 6 weeks old. I went down, picked up the mother cat, had to catch the kittens because she told them to run from people. I mean, cats are smart. They tell them to stay away from people. And we've now got that cat and her 6 kittens at the Humane Society. But this is a beautiful calico cat. And it belonged to somebody. I know it did. It was healthy. But they just put them out here. I run this program. I can do your cats. I now have help from the Arkansas Animal Rescue Foundation. She gives me money to do spay neuter on people that do not make more than $30,000 a year. It started in January, and so far I've done 120 cats or dogs under this program for people in low income. So if you know anybody, you can call me, you can call the Humane Society, I give you an application. You state you do not make more than $30,000 a year. I give you a voucher. For dogs, it costs $30. For cats, it costs $10. Okay. I'm just trying to help this city.
Mary David, are you a CPA?
I am a CPA, yes.
CPA?
Yeah. I'm retired. I'm from Evansville, Indiana. I did this with a group of people in Indiana. And so when I came here, animal control approached me. And he was just sick. I got 165 cats in 16 months. Healthy cats. Just because they were trapped, and that's what he thought he was supposed to do. And then he came to the council here, and they let us set up this TNR program. This trap, neuter, return. We do not just release. You have to say you can take the cat back. And that costs you nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you want to donate, that helps. But it costs you nothing.
Do most of yours go to Conway?
The ones that are feral, most of these no. But if I get a nice cat in, I mean, I got 3 tortoise shells right now. Beautiful cats. They'll be going to Conway next week. I take them, I have an air-conditioned shed. I get them fattened up. I take them to the Humane Society. They get all their shots. They get worms. And I take them. And they get good homes there.
Can you confirm something for me that I've said all my life, and I may be a liar, but all calico cats are female?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, if you get one, actually, I just read that they did find a male.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's worth about $10,000 or $20,000.
Okay.
But it's very rare. It's like 1 in 100,000 or so. It's very rare. If you have a 3-colored cat, it's a female.
Mary, thank you, and if Mr. Hernandez wants to pursue this, I guess you can put this back on the agenda again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll come back.
And when you want to expand your expertise, I have a problem with coons at my house. Would you come over and thin them out for me just a little bit, please?
Actually, I buy my own traps. They're $68 a piece. I do not want a raccoon or a possum. That is the only stipulation. If I loan you a trap, you do not leave it out at night.
What about skunk?
Got them too.
I do have a job for this man, though. You all might not appreciate this stuff. He needs to look up your all's law here about trash cans. This is his trash can. It doesn't have a lid on it. So maybe we can get him to start working on that.
Mary, thank you for your passion.
Thank you.
Next item is Suddenlink. And
May I?
Yes.
All right, everybody in here who is a Suddenlink customer, hold your hand up. Everybody in who is irritated at Suddenlink, keep your hand up. All right, you're not the only ones. Their service sucks, and I'll be very blunt. Their service sucks, we know that. Their prices are too high, et cetera, and they're try to cancel your service. I was hoping Dick Rauschenberger would be here because he was telling me a story the other day. He tried to cancel his service and go to AT&T. He kept explaining to this woman who did not speak English that he wanted to cancel his service. He thought he had it understood. Yes, it was going to be canceled. Sent all the stuff back in. Lo and behold, the next month, whacked him again for another, charge on his cell phone or on his bill. Jimmy told me today that we have now you should know that we have a franchise with Suddenlink to operate our cable service within the city limits, not outside, just the city. Jimmy told me today that you have a conference
call with
scheduled.
Johnny Moore. He's Governor Affairs Director, Vice President, Regional Director, Operation and Service Director. So I'm anxious for that phone call. I'll put whoever wants to get on that call with me.
I'd like to be there for that.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, remember, the city of Jonesboro and Batesville are irritated enough that they actually went to the Attorney General and asked for an investigation to be started. I've already typed my letter and sent it. If you've got an issue with them, send a copy to the Attorney General's office and write Suddenlink complaint on the bottom of it. Because if you don't complain, we're not going to get any attention.
Or you can send it to
you can send it to Jimmy and
we'll forward it. I've got 16 of them so far. We need several more.
About 8 months ago, I got in touch with my friend on the city council up here, and he had suggested that I contact the Attorney General. They had raised my bill. I had to pull the Vietnam veteran card out to get some attention, but they definitely worked. The AG went right after him. I was called right away. The guy was like doing everything he could. I got it reduced by over 75% on the bill, and also they took care of some backdated issues.
So what you're saying, Bob, is if I call and complain and tell them I'm a vet, I get my rate reduced? I tried that, it didn't work. But anyway, but if you got a complaint, document it, send it down to them, and then we'll have a conversation with them because we want to touch base with them about their compliance or non-compliance with our franchise regulations.
But suddenly also, I had when they got into my Wi-Fi, I only have internet with them. And they had it locked out where suddenly could not get into it. I couldn't get into it. So they told me to buy a new router. That went through. Right before that, they called me. Wanted to verify the information. They knew what months I went over, and it was not them.
They got hacked, suddenly.
Exactly. And I had to go change all my bank accounts and everything. But they stated it was them. It did show up that it was them, but it was not me.
But document that and send it to the AG so we can keep some heat on it.
That's what I did. The bank had told me to go ahead and do that.
Thank you.
What are the chances of getting another company in here, cable?
They have them, they just don't service everyone.
Well, I'll take a shot at that. The problem is going to be is that Suddenlink, for those who've been here forever like me and Jim, it originally was Lakeshore Radio and TV. And then they got their system set up, and then they slowly expanded whatever, and then it's been bought several times. I don't think Joe Blow can come in here and take over Suddenlink's system and building, et cetera. They're going to have to purchase it from them. So getting another company,
the infrastructure would be so expensive.
it would be expensive. And you're going to get outdated stuff too, probably. So.
Did Suddenlink make any announcement that they were going to be raising prices or reducing services or anything? Because
Only on their website.
They raised, and I used their online login and stuff to do the bill pay and stuff. They raised from $83 $40 to $118, and I only have internet service with them. But they continue to send me emails even after I've unsubscribed from them saying, get more services, blah, blah, blah. So when I tried to add TV and phone, again, I have internet with them, I'm outside of their service area. So they've raised my price $50 and then lowered the services that they provide, but nobody can tell me like what is going on. Why is Suddenlink doing this? Did they put like a reason out for that anyone is aware of?
That's another one you need to.
Put that in the letter and get it to my office. Or, yeah.
And give Jimmy a copy of it, and he'll forward it with the one we've already got.
Can I say
They
something?
did have an update with them in September of last year, and after that, about 2 months is when everything started happening.
Let me tell you that in 2013, the Arkansas legislature passed what's known as the Arkansas Video Service Act. What they did, the legislature thought that it was better for them to oversee this than you see it locally. So that power has gone to Little Rock. And that is probably when the problem started. Because right now, if you want to be a video provider in an area, you pay $1,500 and you apply to the state. So you might want to talk to your representative or senator from your area and also express your frustration with what's going on.
Could we see a show of hands? Everybody's dissatisfied?
Dissatisfied with Suddenlink?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, my wife had the same problem she had.
Okay, let's move to new business. The next item is an encroachment on 120 South 5th. Doug, do you want to?
Once again, this is their standard grandfather letter surveyor coming in and caught portions of the building inside the setback. So they're just asking for acknowledgement of it so they can go ahead and fix it.
Just a portion of the structure was on a right of way. Okay. Y'all, you know, we do this every few months, and there was a survey performed on it as well.
The survey is the one that caught it.
Yeah.
GPS.
I make a motion, we approve this encroachment as we've done in the past.
Second.
Nancy?
Chris Foster,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
Sharon
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Paul Muse,
Yes.
Paula Thorne,
Yes.
Jim Lake,
Yes.
Allie Sutter.
Yes.
Motion carried. Next item is Public Works issue about a Grapple truck. And we've had both of our old Grapple trucks that we've patched, and I think Paul and I bought a used one a few years back, and it finally saw its last day about a month ago, and so we've had a company here in town that's worked with us, and we're using their Grapple truck right now. It's a piece of machinery that picks up most all of the limbs in town, and it's just it's a must to have. And we've spent a lot of money on, we've talked about buying used equipment, and I love to buy used equipment, but sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. On this particular piece of equipment, and I'm really trying to sell the council, that, it's a $150,000 piece of equipment. And there's a company, Scott, River City Hydraulics, that has I think the Cadillac piece of equipment. And we've got, the choice of purchasing it outright, going on a lease buyback program with them. That's, about $3,030-something a month, I think, Scott? $2,600, okay. and about 63,000 over 2 years. And then you give it back and you get a brand new one and less tire, wear on the tires or whatever. But even on a, Paul, we were talking about, and I think I was talking to Jim about it. When you buy a piece of equipment that's got 70,000, 100,000 miles on it, and it's 8 years old or whatever, and it's been worked, then we end up spending about $20,000 a year to keep them running. And so there's a fallacy there of what you get when you buy. I've been accused of being the cheapest guy that's ever been, but it's just it's a piece of machinery that has to work every day, and you have to depend on it all the time. We'll continue. This is not I do want to just put this out to the council, maybe get an approval of purchasing outright, talk about the lease buyback program. Even, of course, right now, interest rates is the best you can get right now. It's just, we bought 3 garbage trucks and now a grapple truck, and so we've done a good job covering depreciation that hasn't been covered for the last 8 years or so. So we're getting there. Scott, do you have any preference or any advice to the council on the best? And this, of course, is a state bid price, so you don't have to bid it out.
Yeah, I'm for more leasing it. They also put in a service program with it because River City Hydraulics.
Speak up a little bit, Scott.
They're actually invested in it with us because in 2 years, they want the 95 grand back on it itself. So it comes with a service program, so they're also in doing the lubes, the oil changes. They actually, depending on the particular one we looked at, has a Freightliner chassis. So they'll have an actual Freightliner rep out there when they come. And he looks at the chassis end, and then River City actually looks at the actual grappler arm, and the body of it. So they're invested in it as much as we are, so they're going to take care of it. And like Jimmy was saying, we're basically would be responsible for the normal wear and tears, tires, batteries. So I think leasing is the better way to go, and we get a new one every 2 years.
What's the cost of that? 153 something?
433. There was 153, 433, 85.
Y'all have those numbers. Okay.
And if we lease it, it would be 33, 199, 87 a year for 2 years.
You got any opinion of?
I like grapple truck better than what we used to shred, because when the wind was blowing, whenever they shredded, it's all over your property and all over your vehicle. And the grapple truck picks it up and takes it away, so you don't have a bunch of wood chips everywhere.
We need a motion on something, or?
Yeah, I'd like to have a motion on
To lease it?
on the lease.
I'll make a motion that we lease it for River City Hydraulics quote. Get a new truck every 2 years.
I'll second that.
Anybody else?
Holly Suggs,
Yes.
Jim Lane,
Yes.
Chris Foster,
Yes.
Sharon Williams,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
Paul Muse,
Yes.
Lois Warren.
Yes.
We've been looking very, very hard at used equipment, and before we sign the dotted line, we're gonna keep looking for the next week or so to see if we can find something that will fit us. So,
What are we gonna do with the old ones?
they're worth about 5,000 apiece.
Okay.
So we want to buy a grapple truck?
Yeah.
There we go, back. $5,000?
No, 6.
Look at it, look, now he's hesitating.
Another one off.
We'll have 2 for sale.
Okay, next item is amendment to the handbook. Lisa, you want to?
We are in the middle of an audit, and one of the things that the auditors looked at was our handbook policy. And there was an issue that we needed to address as far as the salaried employees. So they have asked us to specifically put reasons that you can deduct from someone's pay, things that are permissible, such as sick time and personal injury, physical capabilities. You have the copy in your packet. We spoke with the municipal league on this, and this was their recommendation to put in the policy book for the salaried exempt employees. It's just housekeeping that we need to do.
I make a motion, we approve the amendment to the handbook.
Second.
Lois Warren,
Yes.
Paul Muse,
Yes.
Sharon Williams,
Yes.
Louis Short,
Yes.
Chris Foster,
Yes.
Jim Lane,
Yes.
Ally Suggs.
Yes.
Motion carried.
That audit.
It's not open yet.
Next item on the agenda is the face mask, COVID-19, that we saved the best for last. Of course, I don't know if you've heard the news from the governor this afternoon. So we had an ordinance, and then we had a resolution, and we were trying to make it fit us better and not be so invasive, I should say. And so we tore those up this afternoon. Well, better not clap because the governor has announced, and this is the directive they put out, if y'all haven't heard, Governor Hutchinson announced an executive order today mandating face coverings across the state. Though there are some exceptions, it goes into effect on Monday of July 20th. The order requires face masks in all indoor and outdoor settings where someone may be exposed to people outside of their household and social distancing cannot be maintained. Exceptions include people younger than 10 years old, people with medical conditions that prevent them from wearing masks, people with jobs where masks are unsafe or interfere with their performance, during athletic activities when masks interfere with the activity, when drinking and eating, when receiving services that require access to the face, when voting, helping others vote, serving as poll watchers, or actively performing election administration duties, when giving speeches and doing interviews for broadcast, and in counties where the Arkansas Department of Health deemed the risk of community transmission is low. There were some fines tied to this. Hutchinson said Violating the mandate is a misdemeanor offense punishable by $100 to $500 fine.
That's illegal. Yeah, that's illegal.
Well, we'll discuss that. And law enforcement, local officials are encouraged to enforce the directive. First-time violators and violators younger than 18 will receive a verbal or written warning. No one will be arrested or detained for violating the order. Cities and counties can still use local ordinances consistent with the governor's order, but they can impose measures in conflict with it. So.
Cannot. They cannot impose.
Right, yes. And so, you know, our,
Does the council choose to not enforce that unlawful?
Yeah, do you have that ability to reject that ordinance and say you will not follow it?
This is our city. This is our local.
no, we don't need to do that. I'm sorry? Of course, this is not a public hearing, y'all have to understand that. But I do want to get.
He did say during the press conference, he said, you know, the cities that have already put those ordinances in place, that basically this one overrides all those ordinances that were put in place. And so I know some cities just have resolutions like we were gonna look at that left it up to the businesses. And he even said that this one overrides those as well. So what he says what the governor says trumps what we say.
But the Constitution trumps.
His own executive order today, this is today's executive order, section 4, says law enforcement and local officials have the authority and are encouraged to enforce this directive. Does not say that you're mandated to enforce it.
Or required.
You're encouraged.
That's exactly right.
So
You're
that's
also
the
encouraged,
right there.
and you are encouraged to wear a mask.
But not required.
Encouraged, yes.
not required.
But not required.
Okay.
That's right. And this all got started, this was,
So,
Can I say something, Mayor?
yes, please, Chief.
I know this is such and such for everybody. And, been thinking about it a lot over the past few days. And I feel like I'm a constitutionalist. And, I understand where you're coming from. But every business in this town has the right to say, if you're not gonna wear a mask, don't come in my store.
Very true.
And everybody has the
Where the
right to
problem
take their
is
business
with the
elsewhere.
government saying,
I've had discussions with the sheriff. We're now out here hunting people down for
You're
not
not the
wearing a
mask
mask.
police.
If a store asks you to put a mask on or to leave, please do so.
Did he
Okay?
not shop in
That is
store
all
that
we're looking for
requires
here,
masks.
folks. Otherwise, 6 foot distance can be.
So you will not arrest someone walking down the street?
They
He
can't,
said
they
in
can't
that
arrest.
chart.
Opposed.
They can't arrest.
We need clarification.
Read the executive order.
Well,
It
we're gonna
says
get.
in public. It says in public, not around.
This mandate is gonna be reviewed by the prosecuting attorney's office, and then he's gonna talk to us, and we'll know more about how to interpret it, folks. But like I said, me and the sheriff have talked extensively about this.
We as citizens have rights to refuse that because it's tyrannical. It's not absolutely under no condition is he allowed or have the authority to do this.
That's a decision for the politicians and
No,
y'all to
it's
vote
for
on.
us.
That's
We
for y'all to
pay the
vote on.
fines. We go to
If you come
jail.
in town, you
We
What I'm saying is, and I think me and the sheriff both agree that, you know, we get mandated on something, what the rules are, but
I'm just saying, you can say, there's a lawyer claiming that he's gonna come after these Florida police officers do it.
businesses say, we're gonna have to go,
So I don't know.
I think what they're asking, is they're just trying to find out where they stand.
I think I've made that clear. We're not out to Our complaint will be coming from the businesses stating, this individual, state store.
Let me just say this, I think what they're asking, is you just said you're going to get the process of attorneys. Find out what this thing is. Tomorrow is Friday, weekend's coming, they're here for this meeting. I think what they just want to know is what the general position is going to be, whatever it may be. They're just asking for that. So that'll be something you can approach, like, the website, how, what position.
Nobody knew the governor was gonna do this today.
I understand. I'm not pointing fingers.
We're still
So to clarify, what I think the general question is, I think the general question is, they just want to know where they stand, and can you tell them, give them an idea of when we can get back to them about where the.
Hopefully by Monday.
So,
I mean, it states that we're gonna get fined for it, not in jail,
And I'm not
but.
just
Well,
saying.
goes into effect.
The 20th,
That's
Yeah, I can't get this.
But there are others that.
Walmart
will,
We've
that
got
are.
a
is the
lot
one
of
that
other
started.
problems.
All the Walmart stores in the state, you will wear a mask at Sam's
Can
Wholesale.
I ask for clarification on something? My understanding from the governor is that if you want to protest and that social distancing and face masks, you don't have to observe. If you want to protest, you don't have to wear a face mask and you don't have to social distance.
I think we're all protesting.
And we're all protesting. I'm just making a point here.
Well, in this building you do, because that's the health department's directive. In this building, it's a closed venue. And
Not till
so,
Monday.
when you walk in those doors by the health department, and if y'all don't want your kids to come, and y'all don't wanna come, then we'll just get shut down. So, and that's nothing we can do. That's the health department.
Yeah, and it's.
Yes, sir, you've been having your hand up.
Thank you, sir. But may I say, just for the sake of, the ability for the governor to operate by executive order came in 1973 during, a time of crisis. The Arkansas legislature has asked the governor for a special session because most of the legislatures right now are in support of a pro-liberty position. The governor's office will not allow a special session to occur right now. So you and I, if you can, if they'll let you, need to communicate to the governor. And you gotta realize the governor has a lot of irons in the fire behind the scenes. You and I just don't really know about, involving a lot of other stuff. Forgive me, but let's focus on what we can do. Our legislators want to help. And the thing is, I'm not arguing the point whether or not there's a disease, whether the mask works. We all have opinions about that. You obviously know where I stand on what you're talking. But at the same time, you have to realize what's being altered is our form of government. If we lose our form of government at this time, you lose your liberty. Liberties lost are never returned.
That's right.
This officer right here seems to be a really good guy. You need to support him. Don't drive it in what he cannot control. The ordinance is in place. Now listen, the governor does, it's his mouth and it's his idea, it's his executive order. How do you create a fine to back up an executive order? I don't know. Somebody needs to challenge that. Somebody who's got the capital P behind this, somebody needs to challenge it. I can't. Probably. But we, the people, need to communicate to the governor's office. No. And you need to be kind, and you need to be respectful. Don't argue, okay? Anyway, thank you for listening. Well, that's it. You can't, you almost have to show up at the governor's mansion.
We have organized a march to the governor's mansion July 25th and June. So you can find us on Facebook, Arkansas March for Freedom at the governor's mansion. So, you can't go that.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk to your legislators.
If I can ask, because there's a lot of speculation about where this is coming from, statistics, who they're drawing it from, is it the CDC, is it just state officials, is it this, and this? And I know many people have researched what exactly the CDC is suggesting, and what these governors, not just ours, but many others, are going off of to implement these guidelines. And I have drawn up several things to point out that the CDC on their website, on the official government website, states that they are skewing positive tests. Now, I have people on Heber You Should Know posting all the time about, you know, the active cases, the total cases, the deaths, and this and that. But are they aware that the total cases are defined under the CDC guidelines as presumptive or presumed testing? Meaning it is not, the CDC government clearly states that if you have a positive antibody test, which I know everyone's heard of, that they're doing, you might have the antibodies from the infection of COVID-19. However, you also are likely to have a positive result if you have the antibodies from an infection from a virus that is similar in the same family as coronavirus, such as the common cold. And that's really important to remember when the CDC, I mean, they're admitting that this is, you know, you have a previous immune response from a different disease. And they're coupling that with actual positive viral testing. So all of these testing that people are like, oh no, we have, you know, 4 deaths and 32 active cases and blah, 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 blah. It's all being misconstrued because they're not using honest results. They point out, if I may, that
I think we're getting pretty honest results in our county.
yeah, well, the county is also following the rest of the state and other states in how they calculate those.
It's pretty close.
It is being acknowledged that the numbers being inflated.
It's pretty close.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, we can, listen, we can all talk, we can stay here till 5 o'clock in the morning on opinions and the CDC and all this. I had a doctor friend of mine, I gotta say this, and he's not an alarmist, he's a very bright man, and he said, Jimmy, there's one drug that we should be taking for the coronavirus. And I said, what's that? And he said, that's a mask. He says, we don't know. You can shake, and listen, I shake my head too, but he says, we don't know if it works, or we don't know if it does work, or doesn't work. But he said, it's all we got. It's all we have.
No,
it's all we have.
I'm telling you, we have different data saying that this is not true.
Well, there isn't a vaccine. There isn't anything. So that does make some
Can I
sense.
say something? We depend on our local governmental officials and our representatives to represent us to the governor.
Right.
We don't only need to go down to the Capitol ourselves and protest him. We expect all of you to be on the phone to the governor's office. And why is that?
You don't think
because he'll listen to you.
You don't think I haven't talked to the governor? I have.
I'm not saying that
Several
you
times.
have.
Yeah.
But we expect you all to do that. I don't want to hear from my local officials, you need to call the governor. We're here tonight to ask you to do that for us.
Did we say that? I don't think so.
Do you know anybody that's had the
Let's wrap
virus?
this thing up. No, there's
Why
no
don't you talk to
ordinance.
Lewis? Lewis had the virus. He can tell you how
Thanks,
bad it
Jim.
is.
Thank you, Jim. You just violated the HIPAA law.
I don't give a damn.
Well, no, it's not HIPAA.
Everybody knows he had it.
That's HIPAA for doctors in the hospital.
The biggest thing that we want to do is
Two different situations.
is to respect each other and let's keep each other healthy. I don't know how that's done, but that's what we want. But in the meantime, the governor passed this.
Walk around naked.
As the city, as what was the directive for the cities, we tore our ordinance and our resolution up this
We appreciate
afternoon.
that very much, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have business, a small
Why
business
do
here
you
right now.
have to trample on my rights, protect everybody? I don't go and go and pick at McDonald's and tell people, oh, you're too heavy, you shouldn't eat that, there's diabetes, there's obesity, there's heart disease, there's all kinds of stuff that has issues with all kinds of stuff. We came here because we were geared up for a fight. The governor had popped that ordinance or whatever on everybody. Well, we
still ready to fight it. And like Jackie said, we expect you guys to sit there and fight for us. Because you want to wear a mask, or you don't want to wear a mask, you have that right. You don't
That's
have
right.
the right to be my healthcare worker.
I did,
But,
anyway.
but wait a minute, now, and I've been quiet the whole time, but you understand that regardless of our personal opinion about whether you want to wear a mask or not, I do not want to wear a mask, especially since I have hearing aids. You pull it off, there goes a $500 hearing aid on the floor. So I don't like them. And I have tried not to wear one, but it's out of our hands now. The state of Arkansas has said, whoa, hold it. It's out of our hands. Now, if you're asking me to call the governor and say, look, I don't agree with the face mask thing, that's fine. But suppose, okay, let's go the other way. Let's suppose some people up here do agree with the requirement to wear a face mask. Are you saying they shouldn't say anything?
They should.
It goes both ways. Wait a minute, hold it, I'm not done. I want to see a show of hands in this audience, and I want you to be honest. How many are in favor of the face mask requirement? Hold your hand up. Okay. Do you know why you're here? Because you're against it. I'll be honest with you. You came in knowing that we were going to have this on here, and you wanted to speak your piece, which I respect your opinion, and that's fine. But it's been taken out of our hands. We've got no dog in this fight now. I'm sorry. We just have to go by. Now, wait a minute, I'm not done. Now, you remember, also what they said was, it was in the counties that had a high percentage. The counties with the low percentage. Let's make that Cleburne County. I don't care how you do it. Let's make that Cleburne County where we don't have to wear a mask. But you know, our problem is that we get so many out-of-towners, so many tourists. Go to Walmart the 3rd of July. Oh my God, it was crazy. All these Tennessee, Mississippi, all these tags where people are fleeing their area and coming here. Well, they bring the crud. Well, what are we going to do? But like I said, it's out of our hands now. Now, if you don't agree with his decision, please call him. And if I don't agree, I will call him. But if they don't, they won't.
We want you to protect
Wait, just.
the citizens of Heber Springs' freedom. I want to know, this gentleman sitting next to you, I want to know why you're like cheering, like, you will be wearing a mask.
You will be. If you go to Walmart, if you go to Little Rock, if you go to Conway, if you go to Batesville, you'll be wearing a mask.
Excuse.
I can give you doctors and nurses and that's just saying it's ridiculous, it doesn't work.
My wife's a nurse.
I realize that.
Excuse me. This lady didn't get through asking her question.
I
Please.
have a small business here in town, and I have witnessed people, whether you want to wear a mask or not, that's your problem. But they're uneducated on wearing one. You do not need one inside your car while you're driving. I watched a lady walking down the street. It's 100 degrees outside with a mask on. She walked in the door of my store. What happened? She passes out on the floor. So we're picking her up, trying to fan her, trying to get her some water. First thing we do is pull the mask off to get her to drink some water, trying to get her to come to. So if they're going to mandate this, then somebody needs to educate. You don't need it outside in 100-degree weather. You don't need it driving your car.
And that is stated in the mandate.
People are not reading this.
I know.
I see it in Heber every single day.
Well, it just came out today, man.
Huh?
It just came out today.
I know, I see it out of parking sign, there's one on each side of me. They've got the mask on, they're in the car alone. You know, I watched this woman walk down and we about panicked. We just dialed 911, we couldn't get her off the floor, you know. And there's elderly people here that can't breathe to start off with. And then they put a mask on them because they think it's protecting them and it's doing a lot of harm to them.
Right.
But they don't understand.
And not just that, it doesn't make sense to wear masks sometimes and then not others. And if people would just understand the basics of,
you know, transmission and virology, like, you would understand that
Wash
these
your hands.
masks
Wash your hands.
are
Wash it.
pointless if you're not wearing gloves and taking full
No,
PPE,
gloves,
you know, all this stuff, like, it is literally makes no sense to walk through a restaurant, then take your mask off. Or come through a building, then sit here and take your mask off. Like, it's not making any sense. So you can't say that it's out of your hands, you don't understand.
It is out of our hands, because if we don't do it in this building,
You are our officials.
I can't control the health department, the CDC, and the health department. So, so if I can keep these doors open by, you know, and you got people that are here in this building that are wearing a mask for 8 to 12 hours, and we're asked to wear it for 20 minutes. I mean, you know, so our people are doing a great service to keep this facility open. You know, so it, you know, what choice do we have, or do we take it away from you? You know, do we take this service away?
To open tomorrow.
I tell you what, let's, you got a motion to adjourn.
Need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Need a motion? Motion?
Need a second.
Any seconds?
We still have open mic.
Huh?
We still have open mic.
This is open.
This is, yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, something I would like to know, what are the schools planning to do?
They don't.
They don't know.
They don't know?
They don't know. Yeah, Wanda.
I just wanted to say, as elected officials, it's not out of your hands. You need to poll your districts or your areas and see where your constituents stand on that issue. And then you need to bring what your people want to the governor, to Jimmy, our mayor. And then you need to talk to the governor and say, this is what most of my people are asking us to do, and stand up for our rights. That's all we're asking you to do.
And that's an amazing coincidence, because,
It's just to represent what the people, most of the people. are
Wanda,
asking.
4 of us are up for re-election this fall, which means that we have to get a petition signed, I got a copy of it here, by members of our ward. So we've been doing that. 4 of us been doing it. Now, we talk about everything that's going on when we're talking to these folks. Now, what do you think the percentage have been pro-mask, against mask? What do you think the percentages are of these 20-something people I've talked to in the last few days?
Doesn't matter.
The majority of them are against masks.
The state yesterday said 63% were for masks.
But I'm just talking about the people in my ward. They were against it. So that's fine. You know, I'm personally against it also. But like I said, it's out of our hands. And if I get the opportunity, I will talk to a senior elected official and say, hey, look, you know, I know where you're at, but my people don't like it. That's the best I can do.
What happens when the flu season gets here?
What happens when school starts and you put all the kids in the school?
I have the governor's phone number, I have the representative's phone number.
I got it too.
If you want them.
Since we have no control on this, I move we adjourn.
Jimmy, I have not had supper. I make a motion to adjourn, please.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion on, there's a motion on the table. Excuse me. I need a second. Do we have a second?
Second.
Go ahead and say.
Open mic. I have one question. That's it. And it'd be pretty simple. It's not necessarily about whether we should have to wear the mask or not wear the mask. It's really just from my standpoint as owning a business in here. Most of my questions were already answered from all of you guys talking and speaking, and this gentleman here, he answered most of them. The last one was, if I don't require people to wear masks within my store, my personal opinion is you're all adults, you can make your own decision. I choose to wear one for myself, but I mean, you know. Will I get fined for my business for allowing people in? Like, what are my requirements to, like, can I let people in if the state has passed that ordinance to not wear a mask, or do I have to say no one can come in without it?
Was that part of that?
That wasn't clarified within.
No, I don't know. I'm wondering if that was clarified in what the governor said today. I think that has to be, everything has to be approved.
It has to be approved, yes.
So you'll probably know tomorrow because it'll be on the news. God knows.
So there'll be more clarification by Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, they have to come out with an official decree.
Are we adjourned?
One more question.
Make this very long, but I'm just wondering if this were something that you felt that you should fight for within the city. If there were something being imposed on the city, if you would take the initiative to fight that, is that within your realm? Can you do that?
I'm sure it is.
You're asking me that? I don't think so, because we know how, you know how, what happened when I was tilting the dragons, or, yes, everybody will fight for their particular cause, is what you're saying? Yes, we do that. You can ask everybody.
I need a vote for adjournment.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a second.
Yes.
All we can do is just pass on our opinions. That's all we can do, and that of our constituents. And I'd be happy to do that.